Using a smaller potato that's not so fibrous will make them can better. I am not an expert at canning. I do use the USDA recipes, and I would encourage you to do that too. Alright, done peeling the potatoes. 21 pounds of potato doesn't make too much. Sorry about the shadow. Next step is to wash the potatoes once again. Alright, the next step is to clean up the potatoes a little bit more, dice them into ½ inch, 1 inch cubes, and soak them in this pot. Get ready to parboil them. Alright, just short of a blister. I have the 21 pounds cubed up, and now I will parboil them. Once they get up to a full boil, I'll time it for 10 minutes. And then we'll be on to the next step. I'm pretty sure that North Carolina is the #1 producer of sweet potatoes in the world. I am by far not an expert at canning, so I encourage you to use the National Center for Home Food Preservation recipes to make sure that it's done properly. But you can see that I have done beans, ground beef, carrots, beets, more beans, green beans. We're trying to build a working pantry. Our goal is to have 1 year's worth of food in the pantry and pull from that in case we cannot get to the store or the stores are closed. Hopefully that will get us to the first season of the gardens. We do have additional plans for the gardens that we'll talk about later in the winter. I would encourage you to learn how to can. I never did potatoes before. It's something that everybody should really know how to do. It's fairly cheap to get into, and it helps in your self-sustainability. I'll put a copy of the recipe as a still so that you can pause it and print it if you like. Alright, we ended up with 3 parboiled large bowls. Next step is to prepare the jars and put them in the jars, and I'll be back with you once I've filled the jars up. I will be using a pressure canner with a dial measure at 11 pounds for 65 minutes as per instructions. We are under 2,000 feet, so that's the pressure that's recommended. I have a kettle here to have boiling water to put into the pots so that they don't crack. And while it's not required anymore, I still put my lids in hot water to kind of soften them up a little bit. All jars were previously sterilized. On the pressure cooker, there is a line that you fill it up to. as recommended by the manufacturer. To keep it from turning black inside there, I add a splash of vinegar. That will keep it from tarnishing. Vinegar is an amazing product. Okay, the first step is to put a half a teaspoon of salt in each jar. I use Celtic sea salt. This is an optional step. You don't need to do this, but it's a half a teaspoon. I was not impressed with the parboiling it. I think it got them too soft. When I do white potatoes, I'm going to try it without parboiling them, see what result that is. I'll be back once I've got all the salt back in here, and we'll go from there. The next step is to add water. You can add syrup, but I add water and leave 1 inch headspace for expansion. I use Linda's tea kettle to do that, and this funnel to keep the tops clean. So I'll be back when we get them all filled. As you can see, I have a whole other bowl to fill. These are the first 2 processing batches to be canned. The next step is to wipe off the lids with a rag. I soak the rag in vinegar as an extra sterilization step. Now you want to run the pressure canner until the steam vents unchecked for 10 minutes. I'm going to end up with 16 pints of potatoes. That's 2 batches, plus some leftovers that I'm not going to process. I'll put in the refrigerator, and we'll have mashed sweet potatoes Monday or Tuesday. Alright, it's been venting for 10 minutes. My timer's about to go off. You want a very good vent for at least 10 minutes before you put the weight on. Let me turn the timer off. After 10 minutes, you put the weight on, which stops the pressure release. Then you have to watch the gauge until it gets to 11. The recipe calls for 65 minutes for pints and 90 minutes for quarts. Since we're doing pints, it'd be 65 minutes at 11 pounds. So once it reaches 11 pounds, you set your timer for 65 minutes. We'll be back at the end of that 65 minutes. $12, about 9 hours worth of work, and so a little bit of electricity. We ended up with a fairly good haul for the pantry. I will date these, which you should always do. I remove the rings and store them without the rings so they don't get a false seal, and put them in the pantry. I encourage you to do your own canning if you can. It's a cost-effective way, especially when in season you can go to farmers markets and pick up your vegetables in bulk at a very good price. Also look out for meats that are on sale, because you can can them as well. Hopefully you enjoyed a canning video. If you would like to see more of these, just comment below. Thanks for watching.